Hey, I'm Jay Royster, and today we're at Centro Railyard Apartments, Charlotte's first micro apartment community. We're meeting with Caci Cambruzzi-Jaeger of Ascent Real Estate Partners, and she's going to tell us all about it. So let's go take a look.
3, 2, 1.
Here we go!
So here we are at Centro Railyard Apartments, Charlotte's first micro apartment community. Caci, thanks for sitting down with us today and talking to us about it.
Absolutely, thanks for having me.
So before we get into talking about this deal, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into commercial real estate?
Sure. Well, I've been with Ascent here in Charlotte for about 3 years now. And my family's been in commercial real estate for a while, but I've always loved cities and how they grow and just studying the changes of the urban environment. And so I've did my master's in real estate and urban development and urban planning and have worked in the industry ever since.
Great. So let's talk about this deal a little bit now. When I think about Centro Railyard, really the driving force of this project is Beacon's Railyard development, 300,000 square feet or just under. It was really the first project of this scale from an office standpoint in South End. For context, 1616 Center was 75,000 square feet. This is almost 300,000. It's now sold for a record number to Cousins. But you all found an opportunity to play off of that by developing these micro units that wrap the parking deck behind Railyard. What did you all see in being able to complement Beacon's Railyard project?
Sure, well, first of all, I think we're incredibly fortunate to have the opportunity to work with Beacon, that they've just been true visionaries in reimagining this block and creating one of the most interesting blocks, I think, in arguably of all of Charlotte. So really we have David Furman of Cityworks to thank for that connection with Beacon, and they worked on 1616. That partnership has had some history, and I think that Beacon really valued David's vision for really creating something special to wrap their parking deck. So I think that there was a fair amount of trust there to really deliver a high quality product in a small space. So I think that it was part of the zoning requirement. If you look at some unwrapped parking decks, what happens, what this block would have been if it had just been the back of a parking deck, and to have micro retail and apartments on the end of this development just really makes it that much more special. So
it really does, very special and such a better feel for the overall neighborhood and area.
Definitely.
So you didn't have much room to work with here from a site size standpoint. You're on 7/10 of an acre. Because of that, you were limited. You really had to maximize your yield on what you had with the space that you have. So you don't have many amenities here. There's not a pool. There's not a gym. Having said that, you've got great real estate, and the real amenity is the location.
Yes.
You're walkable to the Bland Street light rail stop. As far as gyms go, you've got Orange Theory. There's yoga studios around here, tons of food and beverage, Hop and Soul. You know, there's a lot of walkability. But how did you all evaluate that with not being able to incorporate as many amenities, but you've got great real estate?
That's an excellent question. I think that we really truly view the neighborhood as the amenity, and really marketing the fact that you are in walking distance to some of the best nightlife and restaurants, and really a lot of the gyms are right across the street. You have Orange Theory in the Railyard building, and telling the story of all of the walkability of the neighborhood is just, if you were to drop a pin in Charlotte, you know, what that radius brings. And I think that that was very attractive to a lot of people, that maybe they don't want the pool. And we had, you know, some people, if that's what you wanted, it wasn't for you. Right. But the location was really that number one driving factor.
From an underwriting perspective, 91 units. A lot of the other projects in South End are 250 to 350 units.
Right.
So you may not achieve the same economy of scale there.
Exactly. From
a design standpoint, those challenges with the parking deck. From a construction standpoint, what were some of the biggest challenges in this project, from underwriting to design to construction?
Every phase had its pieces of adventure, but I think some of the biggest challenges, you do have a tight site, so we're fortunate to work with Edifice, that they were able to get creative and get this built on that very narrow strip. From an underwriting perspective, we have about 2/3 studios in this building, and so what we really did was look at how other studios were performing within other buildings and extrapolate those rents into this. You have a single loaded corridor just by the nature of it being wrapping a parking deck. So construction-wise, you are not as efficient as if you had your perfect 300 unit square. However, we really thought that the location and the ability to do something interesting and different here was justified the risk for doing that.
So Cassie, you all really pushed the envelope here. There have not been any micro apartments in Charlotte to date. It's worked in other cities, but you all were the first to pioneer this product type here. I think anytime you do that, naturally there could be criticism, both from the real estate community as well as the market in general. But having said that, you all had a very successful project. You leased it out well during the pandemic, stabilized, now you've sold it. So it turned out to be a great success, but what gave you all the conviction early on to know that this could be a success?
Well, I think that we have a lot of trust in our partner, David Furman. It's just absolutely spectacular to work with such an urban visionary. I think he's been called an urban genius. Right. And just the way he envisions buildings, and he is a risk taker. But I think our partnership with him at Ascent Real Estate Capital, that we were able to add some additional layers of how do we really underwrite this and finance this in a way that mitigates some of the potential critiques, I think, of it. So, we were very grateful for his partnership in the design, and really John Dixon and Aaron Ligon, bring a really creative approach to these apartment deals where you're just not doing the same thing as everybody else. You have to be able to differentiate yourself, and we did a lot of research on other markets such as Denver and Nashville. And Charlotte has really come to this point where there is this desire to live in the middle of South End, and the density is increasing. So I think a lot of those factors sort of came together to bring us where we are.
Yeah, and one thing you're not lacking from the outside looking in, at least, is a great team between Furman and your team at Ascent.
Thank
you. So really special team working on this. So another interesting aspect to me of this project that's really appealing is the micro retail to complement the micro apartments. You have 15 micro retail spaces. I really like it because it gives boutique retailers, entrepreneurs, startups an opportunity to test the waters with brick and mortar and also have a more efficient floor plan. It also has a great energy on the street when you're walking by, a diverse mix of tenants instead of a couple of big block retailers. But how did you all approach doing that to complement the apartments?
It's a great question. We're extremely proud of the way that the micro retail turned out. Aaron Ligon from our team handled the lease up for Ascent Real Estate Partners, and we really had this vision to provide brick and mortar stores to the local entrepreneurial community. And I think that Aaron did a great job kind of recruiting some of these businesses that maybe they were in a Chuck or at a pop-up store, and a lot of them, this was their first chance to have a brick and mortar experience without having to do TIs. They were able to just move right in and get started and sign short-term leases that weren't a major financial commitment. And for these businesses to open during the pandemic, and I think they opened in the middle of June, a lot of them this summer took a tremendous amount of courage. And it's, I think from a financing perspective, a roller skate store or t-shirt store isn't, maybe the highest credit on paper, but it was something that we felt passionate about. And it didn't matter how a lender looked at it. It really mattered for us. What did this do for Charlotte and the block and the local business community? Many of the businesses are women and minority-owned businesses, and we are very pleased to have been able to offer that opportunity for the Charlotte business community.
Yeah, that's really cool and a great addition to the neighborhood, and that's another amenity for your apartments as well.
Absolutely. If you need to go get your a plant for your apartment, you just go right downstairs.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go get some roller skates. I've been seeing a lot of roller skates on the light rail. It seems like that's
the roller
popular
skates
thing
are
right
making
now.
a comeback. We also have an e-bike on those are a newer thing, and a couple unique concepts. We have a dog groomer, which is kind of an amenity too. If you have a pet-friendly building here, they've definitely been able to open and have a lot of traffic on the street here.
Yeah, that's great. So Caci, what is Ascent going to focus on moving forward? You guys do a lot of really cool and unique projects across different product types, but what are you looking forward to working on in the future?
Sure. Well, we have another site under construction, Centro Square, just down the road at West Boulevard and South Tryon, and we're about to start framing on that, and it'll be a similar project to this with more micro units, some micro retail, and it's a similar partnership with Beacon where we're wrapping their deck for their square office building, which is nearly complete. It's 150,000 square feet. So same team, same partnership there, and the neighborhood really is the amenity again, where you have a new park, Wilmore Park, adjacent to the properties, and we're excited to see that one come together. We're under contract with another property in Noda. We'd like to continue to build this platform, so we're actively looking for more urban sites and opportunities to create unique buildings in the area. We're also working in other product types as well. So
that's great. Well, this has been a great addition to South End, and Charlotte's lucky to have Ascent Real Estate Partners, and I know you all will continue to do great things here. Well, Caci, before we get out of here, what do you say we check out these skyline views and also some of the micro retail?
Let's do it. Sounds great.
Thanks for joining today. If you're interested in keeping up with the latest commercial developments in Charlotte, make sure to like and subscribe.